I'm going to introduce our special presenter. I can introduce her while everybody's here, kids and everybody. So let's give a round of applause to our special presenter, Jenny Wu. And so as you saw on the flyer, she's going to be talking about some social emotional learning, kind of what that is, and then how it ties together, and specifically to a card game that she invented. It's a lot more than just a card game, but she'll be talking about that. So parents, you're getting an opportunity to have a workshop with Jenny, and then while that's happening, we have a movie, and you can take snacks into the library for the kids. At 7 o'clock, we'll bring the kids back in, and then that way the kids can participate and kind of get some real life action and see what questions come up with that. And yeah, then we're going to pay it forward. And the game, if it's something that's cool and it's something we like, we're hoping to expand it beyond this room. Into the classrooms, and maybe for any parents who couldn't make it tonight, we'll see if we can hold a secondary opportunity. So as you can see, Jenny has some of her team back there. So they're going to be filming her presentation. That way, for the parents who can't be here, because I had a lot of parents, oh, I really want to be here. It really sounds interesting, but that way we can share it with everybody. So with that said, kids, students, if you want to bring your friends and bring your snacks, we're going to go into the library, and you'll be back in here about an hour or so. And then if anybody just comes into the door, we'll bring them over to them. If you want to grab extra snacks on the way in, you can't come back in here until 7. More water, snack water, we got juice boxes.
Okay, well, while we're transitioning, let's get started. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you so much for taking your busy day, time out of your busy day to be here. I'm Jenny Wu, and I just want to say, I am a parent as well. In fact, I have 3 school-age children, and 2 of which are twins. So I can certainly relate to what you're going through, and so I wanted to tell you that tonight what I'm going to be sharing with you comes from both my personal and my professional experience. Personally as a parent and professionally as an educator and a researcher. So a little bit about me. My mission is really to help people, big and small, to achieve their potential and fulfill their aspirations. And I started my career in the boardroom as a management consultant and later an executive coach in Silicon Valley. I would say it was really there in working with adults that I began to see some trends, right? Especially the ones who are impressive on paper, got the right credentials and everything, but they were getting passed by over and over for the next big promotion, for managing a bigger team, because they were lacking these fundamental skills in life. After having kids, I transitioned from the boardroom to the classroom. So I worked as a director at a network of Montessori schools. And it was there, working with teachers, parents, students, that I realized, I had this aha moment, like, this is why that these amazing adults don't have these skills. It's because we're not teaching them, we're not enabling our students to practice them, whether it's in the classrooms or at homes, right? So what can we do about it? I'm a parent, I need a solution now, right? My kids are growing, not waiting, right? So that is why I founded Mind Brain Parenting, to really provide these fundamental skills. And my thing is I needed them to be accessible and adaptive for all, anytime and anywhere. So tonight we're going to be talking about 52 Essential Conversations, which is one of the games that I created when I was at Harvard University. I was studying and researching in this multidisciplinary program at Harvard, where I worked with faculty, took classes at the Harvard Medical School. The focus was on developmental cognitive neuroscience. In translation, learning about how people learn. How do we learn? How do we remember? How do we use our information? And I was physically situated at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, where I worked with colleagues, experienced teachers, Teacher of the Year, the state, all that stuff, and learning about the best practices of teaching, right? Knowing how they learn, how can we provide the supportive space, environment, curriculum to help them learn. Concurrently, I also worked with faculty at the Harvard Business School. around, well, how do we impose behavioral modifications, behavioral change, right? How do we use design thinking principles? How do we use behavioral economics to get people to change, to be motivated? So it was really getting exposure in these multidisciplinary that I realized that we don't have a shortage of research or theories. The information is really out there on how to enable our children to succeed. But we have a problem. The problem is these information are so scattered and they're embedded into research journals. And one of the biggest sort of problem that researchers have is that they're so focused on their niche that they don't talk to each other. So imagine, right? So when I approach them, you know, I would sit in an amazing session with good research findings, and I get all excited. You know, I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do about it? How are we going to tell parents? What are we going to provide them so they can, you know, utilize this research? And, you know, it falls short. They're like, you know, I'm a researcher. I come out with the findings. It's up to the public consumption to figure out what they're going to do about it. Right? And as a parent, I am frustrated by that, right? So what can we do about it? And just as an example, right? Anybody heard of an article like the media picks up good research, right? So they'll come out with headlines like, 1 glass of wine is good for health a day. Anybody heard of that? And so I'm like, yes. You know, and my friends with a big size glass, they're like, yes! You know, and then there's like articles like, eating chocolate is good, dark chocolate, of course. And then you get like a coffee a day reduces inflammation. So you're like, cha-ching, okay, I've got the wine, the chocolate, the coffee, life is pretty good, like nothing needs to be changed. But in reality, that's not how research works, and that's how it works. And you translate it into parenting, you see like, research on music is great for our kids. I'm like, okay, as a parent, I'll sign them up for piano. And then there's like, sports is good. Okay, taekwondo. And then team sports is good, soccer. And there's just like bilingualism, Mandarin, you know. So then, lo and behold, what do we have? A platter of stuff that our kids are overly involved in, right? So my point is really to show you that what is a practical solution? What is a solution that is deliberate, thoughtful, that really takes account of what our children need ecologically, not just confined to this classroom, after school, or home, right? What do our children need? What can we provide them anytime, anywhere? And what can we do as parents? And so that is why my mission was to create something practical, doable, realistic. And so it came out in the form of a deck of poker cards, essentially. It's fun, it's play. And at first I was like, this is too simple. There's something wrong with this, too simple, right? But lo and behold, last year it won the 2018 Parents' Choice Award by the Parents' Choice Foundation, which is the nation's oldest nonprofit foundation that systematically evaluates children's products and media. It was featured by Harvard, UC Irvine, Berkeley, different places, and now it's used in 44 countries. And interestingly, what had been designed for parents with children now is used in schools, after schools, and therapies. So, oh, and by the way, I also wanted to share, it's also, most recently, this was used at UC Irvine for the new student orientation for the campus-wide honors program. So it really ranges from age 5 all the way to grandparents to older adults. And so tonight, what we're going to talk about is, it's going to be, as David mentioned, it's an interactive session. You've been sitting all day, like, this is just too boring, I don't want to make it boring. So what we're going to do is, the first hour, we're going to take some time to have some mindful, reflective moments of ourselves, to really think about, what do you want as a parent? What does that mean? And you'll get to share your ideas, exchange ideas with other parents, right? We don't talk to each other enough. And then I'm going to show you some latest research around, what does that say? What do our children need that perhaps they're not quite getting, or what can we do to facilitate that space so that they're getting what they need developmentally? And we're going to have interactive play sessions for the last 30 minutes where you get to practice it, spend quality time with your children, right? If you don't have your child here, totally okay. You can shadow, or you can use somebody else's kid. I'm sure somebody would be willing to loan, or with each other. Totally fine, we'll improvise on that. But my goal is, after an hour and a half, Hopefully you'll walk out the door with some latest research understanding, haven't socialized, exchanged ideas with other parents, done your reflection, and spent some good quality time with your children. Sounds good? Awesome. Okay, so, looks like I have to come closer. Okay, so the first interaction moment, right? I'm going to present you with a question. What words of wisdom would you leave with your child? And rest in peace, knowing that he or she is sent for love. And we don't have to complicate this. Let's say that if you can leave one sentence about love, wisdom, something that you learned that is so incredibly important, that you want your child to never ever forget and they'll remember forever, what would that be? So let's take a few minutes to think about it and find a neighbor and exchange your ideas, talk to each other. What would you say? Go ahead.
One sentence.
Like you're dying.
Let's go ahead and wrap up. Okay, I'm so curious. And I sort of forced the table to volunteer a little bit. Do you want to tell us what you would say to your children?
Yeah, I tell my sons and my daughter, always make sure that you speak the same way about somebody to their face that you would behind their back.
Anybody else? Want to say yes?
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself. Yes. Others want to share?
Toughness always pass. They never stick to you. So have patience and the toughness will always go on.
These are some great wisdom. Any last ones want to share? Okay, so one last question I'm going to pose to you, okay? Now knowing what you know. So having been a parent for a while, too long, right? And having been parented, what advice would you give to your parents or yourself? So let's take another, did you already have something? Go ahead. Slow down and write it down. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's take, do you want to just share or, okay, just 1 minute so you can talk about it and exchange, yeah? Okay, 1 minute.
To our parents?
are very much the ones that I was asking my colleagues over at Harvard. I was also at MIT. And just anywhere I went, I grabbed Post-it notes with me. And I would have them answer these questions, right? Because I wanted to know what made them who they are today. What helped them succeed or not, right? And so it was really through these sea of Post-its, I saw that there were themes, right? There were clearly themes, as some of you have nodded to each other's ideas, right? But there are also differences in, say, cultural heritage, the values, and family. And so my thing is, how can we bring out these themes, but also honor who we are, right? Honor our heritage, honor our family and who we are, our ways. So, it seemed like from what you've shared, you sort of have a good idea, a good sort of feel for what you want to share with your children, right? What is important to you in life? Are they listening? Are they remembering? Sometimes, right? Are they practicing? So it's a process, but one of the biggest gaps or sort of barrier I've found is this disconnect. I know I'm not watching you. Okay, thank you. So clap your hands if you said this. Why won't my child listen to me? Clap your hands if you heard your child say this. Why can't my parent just stop talking and hear me out? Yes? What about, how do I help my child to stay away from bad parents? Okay, what do you think is coming? What do you think the child's going to say? Why can't my parents stop comparing me to my friends? Right? Yeah? So there's some difference, but you can see that there is also underlying similarity to the sort of the miscommunication that you're facing with your child. How can my child be more self-motivated? Why can't they just do their homework? Why do I have to sit next to him or her? Right? And my parents need to trust me and stop telling me what to do. Honey, it's time for homework. Another 10 minutes. Come on. Right? So you can see that the barrier to the uptake of the wisdoms that we want to share, right? The tips, the things that we want to share is sort of due to this type of misunderstanding and miscommunication. And sort of what brain science say is that partially why, we're feeling like our triggers are being, our buttons are being pushed over and over. Why can't our child just remember? Why can't our child just hear us out? Focus, right? It's really because that the brain doesn't fully mature until mid-20s. And in fact, I know it's a long time. We gotta be patient, right? I hear patience. I'm taking it slow. So in fact, what's really interesting is the lobe of the frontal lobe is the part that takes the longest to mature. And interestingly, that is the one where it serves as the air traffic control system of the whole brain. So the prefrontal cortex, you might have heard executive function, self-regulation. These are sort of sciencey terms, but this is the area where it takes in information. It's like the CPU of your brain, right? It takes in information, it processes it, it prioritizes it, and it tells, sort of the body how to behave and what to behave in different situations. And unfortunately, this does not mature until way later. And another problem on top of it is emotion, right? So you can imagine, so as a parent myself, I could be sitting next to my daughter. And one minute she would be saying some really profound, mature comment, an observation on life, how you should be. And I hold my breath and I'm like, did she just say that? Oh my God, I've done everything right as a parent. Oh, and the next minute she could be having a breakdown. Tantrum, melting tears on the floor, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm just not confused. I'm so confused, right? And so we have to remember that these are small people and small bodies, and their brain is always developing and growing. And especially going, hitting puberty after elementary, right? the brain takes a huge change, and here they are observing their body changing. Emotion, right, hijacking, sort of that fight or flight versus logically processing what to do. These are the barriers, and so as parents, during these times, we have to be especially supportive, patient, and sensitive to their growth trajectory, right? And so I'll talk to you more about, well, how do we support them, right, socially, emotionally, as they're confronting these really complex social scenarios the older they grow. How can we give them the freedom to make mistakes, right, to fail, to become resilient, to explore, right, to have that freedom, but how can we at the same time provide guidance so that they're on the right trajectory, making good decisions, right, and understanding who they are. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And so research and education shows that social and emotional learning is how we can help. And what's really confusing about it is that it has so many different terms. You've heard of soft skills, right? Soft skills at work. Some people kind of don't have those soft skills, right? That's an example of social and emotional learning skills. And then characters, what's your value, right? Empathy and growth mindset, such a big hot topic that's coming out of research in Stanford. If you've heard of grit, Angela Duckworth is also a big one. 21st century skills coupled with critical thinking skills. These are examples of social and emotional learning skills. And let's see, so research really shows that, in fact, these social and emotional skills actually predict your academic achievement more than your IQ. And the fact that these skills are malleable, meaning that they can be learned, they can be practiced, they can be improved. And researchers have basically followed a number of students from kindergarten all the way to high school, looking at their trajectory, how they are. And what they found is that students who have been supported with social and emotional learning, they actually end up producing 11 percentage points gain in grade and test scores. It helps them to retain their academic content because a new research came out that it's actually neurobiologically impossible to be able to remember something, critically think about something without emotion, right? So raw memorization, simply memorizing, that's out, right? You need to be able to know how to apply it, when to apply it, right? And work with others to apply it. And so mental health problem is a huge one. Right now, suicide is ranked the second for actually between teens under age 34, fourth for 34, I believe, to 44. It's a big one. And so kids need to know how to deal with difficult situations, right? How to handle conflict, bad peer pressure, right? How to be themselves. And sometimes, we as parents, we want to help, but how do you help in a way that they can actually listen and understand? And so this one sort of was another aha moment for me. So this was a research done out of MIT Harvard, and it was really about, well, how do we help children really now? And so, I just want to say, what's the #1 advice you would get if you asked your teachers how I can help children at home, or your pediatrician? What would they say?
I ask this question a lot to every teacher I meet, and one of them that really stuck was to love kids, because they could tell the difference between those who are loved and not loved.
Oh, wow, I love your teacher. Very good, thank you. So the answer, in case you didn't hear, was to love your kids, because they can tell when you're being loved or not loved. Yeah. Anything else? So the #1, when I ask this with parents and even teachers, what advice they would give is read to your child, right? Reading at home, read to your child. And that's totally valid, right? But what this research does is that it takes it further. That it took a bunch of kids under fMRI and scanned their brain, reading, talking, and sort of looking at what facilitates their neurobiological brain development. And what they found is that it's not merely reading to your kids, lecturing to your kids, but it's loving your kids and loving through conversations, It's like playing tennis. That back and forth exchange, the valuing of back and forth conversation is really what actually physically shapes your brain. And there's been a lot of studies on, tragic studies actually, on orphanage in Romania, right? Looking at their brain, your brain matter actually shrink because of neglect, adversity. But of course, these are extreme situations. But the point is, it's not just dumping words. It's about really helping them retain by having a personal narrative through conversations. And that is why I decided to make it into conversation format. So I created this, and ended up getting featured on the homepage of Harvard Graduate School of Education on the power of conversations. So let's talk more about, well, what exactly is it, right? So it's a deck of cards, which each one of you families will get one. And it really revolves around 5 competencies. And I was just telling David, this is actually a framework that is well-tested and credible that actually the state of California, in terms of schools, are anchoring toward. It's being used in Illinois, Massachusetts, other places. So you are actually getting an early preview of what might be coming down. So 5 competencies of the social emotional learning focus area. So we have self-awareness. Self-awareness is, are you aware of your feelings? Can you identify, well, I've got my grumpy pants off. But why is that? Why am I feeling grumpy? Can I identify this emotion? And in turn, can I articulate that to the people who are going to be supporting me instead of throwing a tantrum, right? And self-management is, well, once I know how I'm feeling, how am I going to control my emotion or control my behaviors? How am I going to cope and regulate these big, big feelings, right? Social awareness, so the top 2, the reds, are having to do with your internal environment, your intrapersonal. And the sort of social awareness and relationship skills have to do with interpersonal skills. And that kind of is more like soft skills, right? So you can imagine, when you're talking to someone, do they look like they're taking your perspective? Do they look like they're actually listening and relating and having empathy for you, right? And relationship skills is, of course, can they form healthy relationships, right? Can they handle conflicts? Can they mediate that? And the combination of these is, well, with that, knowing all these information about themselves, about the outside world, can they make responsible decisions, right? Say no to drugs, certain behaviors, right? Can they, in the moment of peer pressure, right, make the right decisions? And the 6th competency, I actually added on, but there is now also a huge push to this, is really looking at diversity, equity, inclusion. Given the climate we're under, right? How do we celebrate each other's differences? How do we truly understand each other and creating equity, fairness, inclusion law? Yep? So that's very important. Okay, so my point also is you can imagine these sets of skills and competencies, should they stay just in schools? Right? It should really be anytime, anywhere, and everywhere all the time, right? And you can imagine that maybe some adults you know are lacking a skill or 2 in there, right? So my point is we can all do better. We can all learn together. And so with the cards you'll get, and this is in the cards, these are the card topics based off of my research. And these are the sort of the little icons that you see. What do you notice about them? What is this? The heart, yes. And this is the diamond, right? Spade of clubs. So I've coded with character, right? So it's just a deck of cards. It's sort of like deceptively simple, right? You got your suits, and then the bottom 2 are sort of the asterisk. This is diversity, equity, inclusion, and then you've got other places like honesty, which is responsible decision making. And another thing about this is that I'm a busy parent, I know you guys, we're all so busy, and by the time we get home from work, we're drained. We don't want to be reading a manual or like trying to figure out how to play something, right? I have like tons of games that are untouched because of the manual